We love a forklift mast for the front of the tractors. Don't really like welding galvanised stuff. Right, you've probably seen some of our previous videos. We love a forklift mast for the front of the tractors. We've got a real old one, which we had shortened a while back, and that's working okay, but we bought another one, and this is a bit better condition, and it's been handy to be able to have two when we're on different fencing jobs. So we've got this old Fraser mast. I've altered the linkages at the bottom so that we can get the front link balls in, because it was all too close coupled before. So we've already done that. They're the right centres now. We can get 88cm centres on here, which will fit the front links of the John Deeres. So the next job, you can see all this valve block stuff here, cable controls for the valves, and they'd be normally positioned at the back of your tractor cab. In the old days, you put these on the back link to the tractor and then operate those valve blocks. And with the hydraulic top link, if you weren't careful, you put the whole mast in and smash your back window of your tractor. Notorious for doing that. Well, we don't need any of that jazz. So what we're going to do, cut all this lot off. We don't need any of that. All we need is the hydraulic top link, which will mount on here and go to the front of the tractor, and a single pipe, so obviously a single acting ram, into the front of the tractor as well. And they're the only two functions we need. We need things to go up and down and be able to crowd back and forth on that hydraulic top link. So we don't need any of that valve block. We can operate all that out of the tractor. It's going to go on the front links anyway. What we want to do is chop it down, because up here, you imagine that on the front links of the tractor, you can't see through it, and at night all the lights reflect off here, just completely glare up. So we're going to chop it down to about there. We'll take that much height off, about 30 inches of height off, and that'll allow it to sit just at the level with the front of the bonnet, top of the bonnet, so you can see over it dead easy. So I think the easiest thing is going to be to chop all this off, so that's out of the way. Then we can unbolt the chains, take those off, get those out of the way, undo that ram clip, slide the thing apart, and then we'll take 30 inches off the bottom of that inner carriageway, and then shorten the top of this by 30 inches, which just means we're going to have to take this plate off and re-weld that back down 30 inches lower than it was, and that'll sort the whole thing out. We can then either shorten the chains or move the tabs where the chains go lower down so that they're in the same sort of level of tension. So whichever's easiest really. It may be easier to bring those chain tabs down to a lower cross member than try and break that chain and shorten it. And then the only thing we'll have to do then is shorten the ram tube, which I might have a go at, or we might send away to get done properly. We'll see. Once we've got all that done, we've got the set of forks here for it. They're attached by a tube, a bit like on the JCB telehandler, and they run on here. What I'd like to do is make a separate one on a tube, just with a single bale spike that we can either put in or take off. We've got a bit of baling to do each year. It's quite away from the yard, and rather than have to take a telehandler down there, if we can just go and have this mast on the front of the tractor with the baler, so someone else can come down with the trailer. Once we finish baling, drop the baler off, and then just use this for bagging the bales onto the trailer. Save a load of messing about, so that'd be quite handy. Obviously we'll do that unwrapped and then wrap them back at the yard. So that's today's project. Well, that was easy enough. Just going to undo this pipe off here now, get rid of that. Then all that can come out of the way for the time being. Unbolt the top, we'll start stripping it down. Not 20, 21 mil. No. Oh. Some old metric thing. Tricky place to get into this, really. Okay, so next job, I think, is to undo the chains at the top. And I think the whole thing should slide apart then. Put a bit of WD-40 on those yesterday. It's paid dividends. Did you see where that nut went? Ha! Oh, when you drop one like that, we don't see where it lands. We definitely need that because it's a fine thread and I haven't got anything the same as that. Where did you land? It's amazing how a nut drops and it just immediately hides in plain sight. Ah, there it is. Now, they don't look... It doesn't look like the chains will go around the top of the roller. Yeah, those bolts won't go around the top roller. We'll have to take the little cotter pin out of here carefully, take this off the end. It's a bit of a shame. I just have to undo that, really. Right. I think I need a step ladder. Okay, so that's just got the end off. It goes on the end of the chain and tensions the chain on one side. There's the other one. Good as new still. Apart from the cotter pins, I think we'll replace those. They're looking a bit tired. So that's great. That's got the chains out of the way now. Now we just need to take the pin out of the top of the ram. Well, this might be a bit more of a challenge. That looks a bit more corroded. I didn't put any oil on that. Those problem pins are up there holding that ram on. I'm not sure how easy these are going to be to knock out. It did move a little bit then. I like this frame that it came with. It's got this frame so that the thing will stand up in the air safely. I don't know whether you can see that or not. Quite handy technique. On these long cotters, you've got the mould grips on the end and then a bar. You just tap from the other side. If you tap on the end of the pin, they bend, and sometimes you haven't got enough to be able to pull them out. So grab hold of it on that bar bend, you know, on the folded end, and just tap across with a hammer. Came out dead easy. I think there's a bit of weight on that. I think what we might need to do is just lift the top up a bit because the weight's all hanging on there. I'll get a bit more spray around it as well because it may be seized into the hole that goes through the top of the ram bar. Next job, what we'll do is make a Bale spectacle on this forklift mast. So I've got one of these big bosses. We've got a big strong tine to fit in it, so that goes in that boss. So what I'm doing is just going to cut a bit of box section here. So I'm just going to trim that now. I'm going to fit that on the tine carrier. So you can see we've got this You see we've got this big bar here, and that's what those forks carry on. So my thoughts are, if we have a bit of that bit of box section, 19 inches, and then we can set the spike on that. And it's already going to be a bit up in the air, because it's going to be up on the front links a bit. So, yeah, so if we have that piece of box section 19 inches long, put that boss in the centre of it, then we've just got to put some sort of carrier tube welded on here, so it'll slide in that. We'll reinforce it all round, and that should be dead good. I can't get on with that mast yet because the nozzle for my gas is burnt out, so I'm just waiting on the one of them to be delivered. Because we have to heat up that pin in that ram, because I just can't get the pin out of the top of the ram to take it all apart. So we'll get on with this in the meantime. So next job, we just need to get a hole cut in this now. So if we go, let's call it 25 centimetres from that end. So we've got a mark there now. We'll centre on both sides. We've got a hole saw and drill press, which will take this boss. We can drill it through now from both sides. A centre punch would be a lovely thing, but I can't find one. Oh, that's frustrating. Drill bit's come loose. Let's get a screwdriver. It's quite annoying. I can't find a decent flat screwdriver. We used to have a whiteboard on the wall so we could make lists of things we needed, but I think Paul put the whiteboard up with Velcro, I think, and that lasted about 15 minutes. That's best I can do. Just ground the end of the screwdriver down to it fits a slot. The trouble with flat screwdrivers, I think they end up getting used as inappropriately as little chisels, don't they? Try that. Effort, but there we go. So now that'll just fit in there nicely. A little bit of a gap round it so we can get it straight and plumb through the other side. We can get a good seam of weld tucked down there. One down, one to go. Right, so we've got the hole through there now. So this boss will just fit through there nicely. So we can get that centred. Let's seam round that with weld. So we'll grind off this galvanising. So that's good. Bit of a pain with that hole saw, but it's the only thing I've got that I could cut a hole that size with. Then what we need to do is make an attachment for the top of it now, just to go on that bar. So I need to put a piece of tube across here. Got this bit here, which is quite thick-walled. So I think if we can fasten that on there, but we need to try and that's got to be a really solid connection. So I don't like, we could just notch a bit out of here, just notch some out there, just bed it in a little bit to get a bit more weld round. But I was kind of thinking maybe if we dropped a bit of angle in, if we dropped a bit of angle in there, then the tube would sit in that gully and we'd get a better weld along it. It's going to take a little bit of sorting out. This has got to be a real strong union, hasn't it? Because it's taking the whole weight of the bale and the leverage of the bale on that spike. So I'll give this a bit of thinking about and then we'll come up with a solution. Okay, so I think I found the solution. I'm just going to take a little nip out of this. Then we can fit that in the top there. Just a little bit of adjustment. And then that, no, not that. That can go in there. We can get that all in nicely. And then what I'm going to do, I think, is put a piece of thick flat plate over the top. When we've got the gas bottles, we can warm that up, heat it over, and wrap it round. But to start with, we'll just get this tacked in place and make sure that it'll fit on the machine correctly before we start putting all this together. Yeah, first off though, we'll just grind this galvanising off. Really awkward. DeWalt grinders. The holes are in different ways, so like the standard keys fit it one direction, but then the other direction, DeWalt have come up with their own little size. Never see the point in that. Right, let's get it all tacked round. So I think what we'll do is just try it on there now, because it's dead easy with this sort of stuff to think that you thought of it all, got it all worked out in your mind, and you assemble everything properly and then realise you've made a complete misjudgment on something. So let's just see whether this will fit. Now that'll fit in there lovely, however it's not giving us any space behind to bring a tab up the back. We can get one from the top of there and down. I think the time that's fully seamed against here, round the corner, build up underneath and round here, then we can get a piece of probably 6 or 8mm plate, put it onto there, brought over the top and round onto this front. Yeah, I think it should be all right. Yeah, I don't think we've got space to plate from all the way behind it. My idea was to plate it from here behind, but I don't think we haven't got the space to increase the thickness there, so. Cherry red inside there. Yeah, that's good penetration on that weld. I'm confident of that. Don't really like welding galvanised stuff. I mean, I've cleaned the galvanised back off it, but it still burns and stuff. It'll just give off a bit of a nasty gas. Well ventilated, but don't want to do too much of it. Okay, now just got to make sure we get this the right way around. See, that's conical. The spike comes in from the front. Just take the galv off. That holes are bang on. That looks good that way. We're doing a lot of these. You'd want it jigged because a slight deviation there, an angle, and your spikes are all over the place. especially on muck grabs, if you're putting a new bottom on a muck grab, trying to get them all just absolutely spot on is quite tricky. Well, I found so anyway. That all measures well. Now before we seam that up, I think it's worth putting it back on there again, because that'd be really hard to grind out and do anything with once we've seamed it round. So I think we'll put this back on the machine now. We'll offer the spiking and make sure that back nut's not going to cause any issues anywhere. Welding gloves might be a good idea. It's exciting. I've had this idea for quite a long time, for a couple of years. Never got round to doing it. Just some of that far off ground where it's a pain and we don't bother taking the wrapper to. Just having this on the front of the tractor, save taking a handler with us. It's going to be so good. Oh, there you go. So you can see the concept now of what we're trying to achieve. That Bale spike sits in there. Back nut goes there. When this goes up on the carriageway. Obviously from a transport point of view, all we've got to do is just slide it off the bar, put it on the trailer. Or maybe, might even, may even fold up. Didn't want to get too flashy with it. For the sake of how much it's going to do, even if we have to take it off, it's not the end of the world. I just think we want to beef this up now, around the top of there, thicken that out. We'll perhaps cut some of this angle away here so we can form that piece of steel over the top and just get a bit more held. But I mean, I'm chuffed with that weld, but I think if we can get a bit more steel over the top of there, it'll just help get that seamed in. It might seem like a poxy, pointless project, but when we've got to travel like an hour and a half to a site to go and do, maybe 20 bales, 3-hour round trip, having to take the telehandler down there just to shift the bales is just like, it's painful. We haven't got a front loader on any of the tractors at the moment. I think maybe if we get a fourth tractor, having that fitted with a front loader will probably be quite useful. We don't do that much loader work. I don't know, I do find driving round with a loader on it when you don't need the loader on it, just a pretty clumsy machine. So, yeah, I'm not sure. I'm not saying we won't have a front loader, but then even then, just having this, so it can be on the same tractor as the baler or whatever, it gives versatility. It is, apart from a spike and a boss, it is all just, obviously you can see, scrap metal from around the yard that we're putting together, so it's not high on cost. And obviously want to do that mend on the, obviously want to do that alteration with the mast anyway, making it shorter, so for the front links, because we use these all the time. We use that other one all the time, fencing. So having 2 of these up and running for carrying fence posts out on sites is, it's worth the workshop time if nothing else. Right, we're going to weld this through around here now. Happy with that. Could get a little bit of weld spattering here. Now that's come off. It's good. Might go around that with another couple of seams, but in reality, I mean, I think that's pretty. You can see that there. Right. Trying to get this piece formed now. I wish the nozzles for me gas bottles would turn up. Just need to get this piece formed over here now. So just need to find some thick steel for that. That'll beef all that connection up. We can give it a grind round, smooth it round. Bit of that form round there. That might be just the job actually. I don't know what that's come off. Yeah, that might be just the job. So we've pulled it apart, lifted this inside bit out the outside carrier. We can't get this ram, the pin here that holds the top of the ram is seized in, so we've got to get that free because we need the ram off so we can shorten the ram. Worried that we're probably going to end up burning the ram seal if we're not careful. It's a bit of a nightmare. It might just started going. It's very difficult to get anywhere near it because there's nowhere to get a direct strike. Oh, it's going now. You can't get horizontal to the pin. Look at this. See, that's the hole we've got to get to here. That's the pin we're trying to knock out in there. But with all this in the way, you can't really get a strike on it. Okay, so we finally managed to get this ram out of the way. Bit of heating, bit of penetrating spray, getting a bar in here on a bit of an angle, sort of tapping it out. That's gone. So I've sent that off to the hydraulic specialist. They're going to reduce the length of the cylinder and piston by 700mm. So we're going to take 700mm now off this and off the corresponding piece outside. Notice here, this has got a machine screw in here, both sides. This one is missing. This base plate's been welded in under there. So we're just going to cut that off, cut that out, and then weld that into the bottom of it. And that'll take care of that. Then we'll tackle the piece outside. Hopefully by the end of the week, John will have the piston ready and we get the whole thing reassembled. Hopefully it'll be good. Just been looking for this. This is my impact driver. Some of you have seen these, maybe it's new to some of you. Come in a little set with a load of bits. And these are fantastic for undoing seized screws. As you hit them with a hammer, it creates a rotational force. Yeah, it's going slowly. I thought these were captive actually, they might not be. That might just be turning. Might be able to just get a socket on it. Years of grease and grime under here. I thought that was welded. It's not. But anyway, you can see those impact drivers, how handy that can be. What I can't do now is get on this very well. Right, on the basis I haven't got any way of doing a great big countersunk hole for a screw like that, and then we're going to have to weld it on the inside. And I can't stop that bolt turning, even though I can turn the screw. I think we should cut them off with a gas axe. Yeah, it's a shame really to have to cut them off, but I've got no way of creating a great big countersink like that, and I'm not going to buy some expensive special tool because it's not the kind of thing I'll ever do again that I can think of anyway. So plan B. It's quite dramatic, isn't it? Let's go. Oh, a bit miserable, isn't it? Right, that's the boltable one done. This other one's been welded, which is the same treatment just going to get next time. We'll just try and cut round those weld bits with the gas. Yeah, so we'll just try and cut round where it's been welded. Just trying to go slowly because we're going to use part of this again, so don't want to go bullish at it and then create more work. I think that should be through most of it now. Oh. Whew. That's got it. We'll let that cool down a little bit, and then we can weld that into that other end, and that's this bit done. Right, so we're just going to weld this cross brace in here. Just prep the metal up there on that side. This isn't massively structural. It's stopping a little bit of deflection in that direction, but moreover, it's just stopping that carriageway, somewhere for that to bottom out onto, so that doesn't continue through and go all the way through the frame. So it's just somewhere for that to land. It's not like part of the strength of the lift, if that makes sense. So we'll just get that quickly tacked on there. I'm going to leave it at that, I think. We've got it just seamed in 3 places. I think that'll do. That's the kind of thing that might have to be ground off if we ever need to take this carriageway out to replace the rollers. So it's not affecting the strength of it lifting. It would have only normally originally been held by those 4 little machine screws. So that's going to hold it in place. I'm pretty happy with that.